Well, good morning, everybody, and a particularly welcome good morning to all our Swedish cruisers out there. It is, of course, your National Day, so hopefully you've got something interesting planned. It will certainly be quite warm where you are. You wouldn't be wanting to celebrate your National Day here in New Zealand. It's kind of on the chilly side. But what we do celebrate today is, of course, the D-Day landing, 75th anniversary it is today, the beginning of the end for the German occupation of France and other countries. So a lot of celebrations and commemorations going on. Mind you, it was still quite a bitter next month or so of fighting, but certainly it was the start of one massive end. Anyway, this is Patricia and David. Good morning to you all. Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286 on the 6th of June, where we have a dry start to the day. Boy, did we have a tumultuous day yesterday, but it's a nice day today. 13 degrees, mind you. Barometer rocketing up 1001.1. It was way down. 12 knots from the southwest. It's a bit gusty, but certainly not in the 20s and 30s like it was yesterday, and somewhat higher in many parts of Northland. I'll be interested to see what the folk up in Whangarei and Opua have to say on streaming this morning, because it was certainly, I think, a little bit stronger up there. Anyway, we have quite a few interesting things this morning. I won't start with the D-Day. Well, I suppose I will, because it is somewhat important to us all in the free world. Operation Overland was what it was called. It was aimed to bring an end to World War II, a humongous planning process. The Allies put a lot of effort into convincing the Germans that they would arrive near Calais and not near Normandy. They had all sorts of balsa wood, even tanks that they had built and got organised, and they had a big effort to keep the secrecy. 2 million troops, actually, from more than 12 countries were in Britain by 1944. The weather played an enormous role. They had only a few days. They wanted a full moon with a spring tide so that they could land at dawn when the tide was halfway in. And they had, in fact, chosen yesterday, 5th of June. And evidently yesterday was like the day it was here yesterday, and absolutely not possible. But they waited one day because of the bad weather. Actually, it was so bad, the weather, that Rommel, who was in charge of all the German effort there, he thought it was so bad that he decided to go home because it was his wife's birthday and he had a pair of shoes for her 50th birthday. So he actually wasn't in France when the invasion started. He was home with his wife. And in fact, they were a bit lucky because nobody wanted to wake Hitler up. He was asleep, and nobody dared wake him up. So the Allies actually had a few hours of landing before anybody in authority was there to get things organised. But yes, they had 5 beaches that they landed on. They codenamed them from one side to the other: Utah, Juneau, Omaha, Gold, and Sword, I think it was. They had, because of Hollywood, I guess, we sort of think that it was only the Americans arriving, but in fact, there were 73,000 Americans, there were 83,000 British and Canadian, and the rest of the 156,000 that actually got there that day were from about 12 Commonwealth and other countries, us lot, Australia, Dutch, Poland, Greece, and so on, Zimbabwe. So it was a massive, massive effort. Not too many people now left from anyone that actually arrived there. There was an article in the paper this morning here from a man who actually lives on the Wangaparo Peninsula here. He was in the Navy, actually, and described what he saw. It was evidently quite stirring to see just wall to wall, horizon to horizon, ships arriving to dislodge all of the troops. So just a fantastic effort. President Trump, of course, is in the UK for some of the commemorations. They actually had them yesterday, which was a good idea because the weather is packing up in the UK. But he's having a faux pas-free visit to London. He chatted with Prince Charles about climate change and commented on how passionate Prince Charles was. He met the two of the leading guys that will replace Prime Minister May, Jeremy Hunt and Michael Gove, and commented on how much talent there was in the Conservative Party. And we just generally had a very courteous time. So they all went to Portsmouth, Prince Charles and several members of the royal family, including the Queen and President Trump and his wife, all went to Portsmouth for the very impressive celebrations. Evidently, I got an email from a friend. They had put it on television live, and it was very moving and fantastic in Portsmouth. So, and of course, in most parts of the world, the celebrations are going to be today on the 6th of June, as it is. All right, staying with America, there was an act of Congress. The US Congress has made it a lot easier for Kiwis to live in the US for long periods than currently. I recall when I went to work in the US, it was quite a process that you had to go through, and your spouse could not work. But now they have got this new act. As of June the 10th, it will be a lot easier for workers and their spouse to move to the USA and immediately start working. It's e-visa status, so that will make life easier, although the current person from America who is here said, please don't think everything's going to start at once. We'll probably have a massive number of people applying, so please be patient. The ambassador is requiring patience for that. But that's a good sign, good relationships there. Well, yesterday, I really can't not talk about the weather that we had in New Zealand. I know David will probably give you more technical detail, but we had 2 tornadoes, we had 2,000 lightning strikes. The lightning even struck the Sky Tower in Auckland, but it was well protected against that with some gizmo whose name I can't remember. But certainly it was a tumultuous day of strong winds. You certainly wouldn't have been wanting to be out in the Hauraki Gulf or anywhere around the, from Auckland northwards, actually. Okay, I'll just do a pause here to see if there's anybody wanting to check in or say hello. I know we can get through to Fiji, talked to a couple of boats before. Is there anybody wanting to make contact, certainly before David starts the weather? Now would be a good time. XL, are you up in Nui Tupatapu, over? Well, you faded at the end, but I certainly got that you were in Nui Tupatapu, 80% cloud cover and 15 knots from the east. Yeah, it does look pretty decent. Bit of cloud between you and Samoa, but I don't think you'll be heading off too quickly. When are you thinking of leaving, over? Yeah, roger that. Okay, well, enjoy that. Yeah, we had a good time there. You can walk up that, I can't remember the name of the hill, but walk up to the highest point there and look north and check out your course. Yeah, find somebody to guide you up. It's kind of a bit overgrown in parts. But yes, I haven't been there since they had the big tsunami, I think it was, or earthquake or whatever it was, that did destroy things a little bit. But yeah, nice folk there, so you'll enjoy it. And I'm sure Felicity will enjoy hearing your voice on streaming. All right. Is there anybody else? Oh, there's a lady's voice there, and I'm going to probably need a relay, but go ahead. I'll see if I can work it out. No, it was strong enough then, but I've got quite a lot of noise this morning for some reason. Can anybody help me out? Yeah, try again, and I'll try. Just carry on, and we'll try and work out what you're saying. Over. Oh, that came through really good, Suzanne. And lovely to talk to you, boy. I often wonder when you single-handers actually manage to sleep. But good morning to Suzanne in the North Coral Sea. You're making really good progress. What's your longitude now, Suzanne? Oh, it's interesting. I got the 15648 east, but then it just faded into the noise. But hopefully we'll pick you up later on Tony's net. But yes, I've been following your progress each day westwards, and certainly it must be some decent. I'm just looking at the satellite picture for the Coral Sea. It looks like you might actually have it better than, well, certainly better than we've got it down here. David's moving the screen across, bit of cloud around, but
the Coral City.
Yeah, there is a bit of stuff around. A lot of stuff, says David. Okay, a lot of stuff. So, what is your wind strength and direction at the moment, over? Yeah, southeast 20, and a swell from the south, yes. Well, you would have good sailing. Well done. You'll be enjoying that, making up for a little bit slower yesterday.
Strong winds tomorrow.
Strong winds tomorrow, David said. Strong winds tomorrow. But, it's all good for the progress. Yeah, well, a special good morning to you, Suzanne. All right, Suzanne is single-handing around the world, as she does. Amazing, fantastic sailor, that lady. All right, let's just finish off with a bit more news. In Darwin, not so good news from Darwin. A man just recently let out of prison and with a tracer band on his ankle decided to open fire with a shotgun in several locations, and he killed 4 people. What else is there? Oh, researchers in San Francisco. Here's for the meat eaters. They have decided, after a 4-week study, that eating chicken produced as much LDL cholesterol as eating red meat. So there you are. Mind you, would we take any notice of researchers from San Francisco?
No, especially if they're from Berkeley.
All right. Okay, we'll move on from that one, but there you go. It will make you feel better if you are a red meat eater. Okay, wow, there's some news from the Wangaparaoa Peninsula here. This is a bit late news because this happened on Friday. It certainly wouldn't have had any golfers out on the Peninsula Golf Course yesterday, but golfers were approaching the 5th hole and somebody started firing bullets at them. And in fact, they hit the sign at the 5th hole. About 30 shots were fired, and it doesn't. I saw the picture of the sign. It looked like the air rifle, but they had to call the police. The helicopter came over to look for the person. So there we are on our own home peninsula. A bit of excitement. I think we'll finish with France. I've got a minute left here before the weather. France is passing legislation that will mean that all out-of-date food will no longer be destroyed. It will be offered to charity. This is from supermarkets and the like. Tons and tons and tons of out-of-date stuff because they put dates on them that in some cases are unrealistic. But anyway, they will stop that, and the government is actually trying to include lots of other things like electronics and clothing and stuff like that that will all go to charitable sources. So that will be an interesting one to control. That's about it for the news today on this D-Day and Swedish National Day. I'm going to pass the microphone.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Well, as Trish said, yesterday's depression passed over New Zealand like a freight train, really. We did have a lot of rain, and as she mentioned, we're on tank water, so that was a big help. In fact, our tanks are full, which is good. Now, this depression center had a central pressure of 976. We didn't get that low. It passed a little bit to the south of us. I thought it would be directly overhead, but not quite. But 976, pretty powerful and very fast moving. It has shot southeast of our location, and it's virtually out of the picture, except for its frontal bands, which are arcing over the passage routes to the islands. Now, this system is a complex one, so more depression centers do remain. One is nearly over Nelson, another one over Bluff. And in addition to all of this, just clearing the Oz Bight is our next anticyclone. It's another huge mountain of air, the central pressure 1038 millibar, very, very strong. Now the high is ridging toward the islands. By Saturday, which is, that's the 8th, I think, the center will be pretty much over Sydney with the ridge poking toward Fiji and Tonga. Now between this high, this monster high, to the west and the depressions that we've talked about to the east of New Zealand, we're going to have a pretty nasty squash zone between, I would say, 170 east and the dateline. So a lot of compression, a lot of wind. We'll have strong southerly quadrant. They'll prevail for the next few days. Now, sea conditions north of New Zealand, well, they're hazardous, plain and simple. By lunch, expect 5 meters between 33 south and 30 south. Friday, tomorrow, much the same. Saturday looks like drops a tad bit, about 4 meters, and that goes all the way up to 25 south. All of these seas are from the southwest. Now, Sunday, well, there's a bit of a cross sea on Sunday, from 35 south to 32 south. We have west-southwest colliding with south-southeast, and it'll be about, each train is about 2.5 to 3 meters. So when these two meet, these two directions meet, well, you're probably not going to feel like eating dinner. As an aside, I was looking at other areas down here, just to the southwest of Perth. The forecast is for 15-meter seas. That's 50-foot seas, 50 feet. So, oh boy. Okay, let's look at winds for northern New Zealand, for those that are primed and ready to go. Today, we'll find gale warnings. Gales are up for Brett, Kuiper, Colville. So virtually all of the North Island is under gale warning. Southwest winds 35 knots right through tonight. Inshore seas are 3 meters. It's when you get a little bit further out that they start to build up. Now by Friday morning, southwest 25, rising 35. And they should be easing a bit Saturday, southwest 20 to 25, and hopefully easing considerably on Sunday. So it is tempting now to depart on Sunday, as even Monday shows very light air just to the north of New Zealand. But this unfortunate polar dip we've been talking about does continue to rear its head. The models are continuing to show that it's going to happen. This is going to cause winds to go northeast late on Monday, east of 172 east. So look up and down that line, 172 east, east of there, northeast winds. Now the exact location of this axis, this 172 I gave you, this is varying with the different models. GFS, EC, UK Met, and others do disagree on where this axis is going to be. So for the moment, while that is a bit of an unknown, it technically is possible to call this a window if you get some westing in, basically do an arc toward the west and then come around to the east toward Fiji and Tonga to stay to the west of that basically rum line, if you will, which is about where the axis is going to be. Now, it is possible that a low will form on this. Models were calling for a low forming yesterday, but today they're not looking very positive about that. So even if it does form, it's more than likely going to shoot off to the southeast. Okay, up in the tropics, we've got a juicy little trough that runs from the Solomons south to cover Vanuatu. Vanuatu, well, there's cloud all right there. I'll cover that in a minute. Well, then we see a cold front from New Zealand that goes to and over New Caledonia, and that cuts right across the cruising routes. And we have another trough that runs more or less west-east over Tuvalu. That's been there for a few days now. So specifically to Tonga, where we could see on satellite imagery on the loop itself, low cloud moving over the group from the east, and high cloud is running west to east, so two different directions on the upper level winds. So these cloudy periods, these low clouds, could bring isolated showers to the group. The winds over Nui Tupatapu east to southeast 20 knots, but east to northeast 10 to 15 for the main group. And tomorrow looks light and variable. If we had to call a direction, I would say east to southeast. But looks like a shift on Saturday to south-southwest in the 15 knot range. Now this morning, Tongatapu barometric pressure 1017, and they had light northeast winds there. The Hapais easterly at 14, and the barometer at the airport 1015. And for Vavau itself, southeast 5 at the airport, barometer 1015 as well. Now over to Fiji, it looks pretty good on imagery, as Patricia had said. Scattered low cloud, but mostly fair from what we could see. Expect mostly easterlies, 15 to 20 today, tomorrow too probably. The radar loop, take a look at that, shows early morning showers rolling over the Suva area, the western Koro Sea, into Suva, onto Viti Levu there. 5 a.m. airports, they're reporting Nandi east-northeast, 5 knots, barometer 1013. Savu Savu was calm to easterly 6 knots, barometer 1011. And over there in Suva, apart from the showers, it was calm, barometer 1015. Over to Vanuatu, under imagery, as I mentioned, this trough that's running from the Solomons. So the imagery is picking this up, but the clouds are heavier to the north and in the south, but scattered and broken in between. This is the trough that's, like I said, pushing down from the Solomons. So it's got areas where it's quite active, areas where it's not so active. And let's hope that if you're in Vanuatu, you're in the not so active part. Winds mostly southeasterly, give or take, in the 15 knot range, picking up probably 15 to 20 a little bit later today. Tomorrow, southeast, they're going to become fresh tomorrow, I think, mostly around 20 knots, and rising maybe to 25 knots later in the day. And finally, over to New Caledonia and the surrounding waters. It does show the frontal band cloud, wind south to south-southeast, about 10 to 15. And tomorrow, southeast 15 to 20, favoring the high end of that scale, I would say. Some areas just north of Noumea, surprisingly, they're getting 20 knots and gusting 30. That happens quite often just north of Nemea. So there you go. Any questions or comments come now? And here's the chief.
Yeah, I was just looking at the high in Kerikeri today because Sally on Citrus Tart's going sunbathing. 16 degrees will be the high with rain and wind. Okay, and just a bit of other news. Gracious Lady has arrived in Numia. They actually had a pretty good passage as the winds weren't as high as forecast, and they managed to cook a meal every night. Wow, so that's good. And we have Kuhila. Josh is looking to leave Nelson. So there's everybody. Oh, and I got a lovely photo yesterday from the group still left in not Marsden, in Whangarei, all the ones that are patiently waiting. What I'm going to do, folk, is set up a gallery on the website because we get such interesting pictures here and I want somewhere to put them. And by the way, I have not heard, and I will call today, from the guy that's organising the buoys around the world, or as part of the buoy group, to see what they've found out about the one that's marooned in South Minerva at the moment. Okay, is there anybody with any question for David? Please call. Who's that? There is a male voice there. I didn't recognise the voice or the boat name, so try again and go ahead with your question.
Okay, good afternoon.
Yeah, good morning to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to let you know where I was down to we got you last Sunday, so we just wanted to touch base with you.
Which conditions?
Yeah, and I think Savu at the moment, because somebody called in from Savu, who was that, and it looks pretty decent at the moment. It was John, yeah, XSX strike 1013, steady, no cloud, no rain, no wind. Wow, this is a great day in Savu, 22 degrees, so you'll be enjoying it there, over.
Yeah, lots of sunshine this morning.
Not good. All right, thank you for the arrival information. That's always good to know. Okay, that's it. Then I was going to report on about 50% cloud cover, but as I've been talking, it's got to 90%. So I presume one of those frontal bands or whatever it was that you talked about, David, are coming our way. Won't be a good sunbathing day here, that's for sure. Okay, folks, we'll leave you in peace and we'll be back again tomorrow. Just again looking at that possibility for the weekend departure for those that are in New Zealand, and we'll see what happens. Cheers all. This is Gulf Harbour Radio Clear, and the frequencies are all yours. Have a good Swedish National Day or a commemoration day for those that went before us. Cheers all.